Combining this Continental GP5000 with that Hunt wheel is dangerous at any pressure, and the same can be said for that Pirelli P0. What am I talking about? Well, stick around and I'll explain. There is not a lot of love in the world right now for our old friend Tubeless, and because of this people are reverting back to the old tubed clincher and inner tube combo, be it the butyl one like this or the new groovy TPU tubes, and they are dumping their tubeless tyres. Too often I'm hearing people say, why would I run heavy expensive tubeless tyres when I'm running inner tubes? Well, the short answer to that question is you may not have a choice. Whether it's small direct-to-consumer brands like Fast Sports or iCan, or some of the bigger well-known brands like Zip or Hunt, those brands have all got one thing in common. They all use hookless technology in their wheel sets. The problem is people are buying those wheels and fitting them with traditional tubed Clincher tyres, and it's hardly surprising that they're doing that because the information out there being provided by the manufacturers is about as clear as mud. You've got companies like Hunt, one of the biggest hookless wheel manufacturers out there, and what they're saying on the subject, and it's in writing on their website, and I quote word for word, all Hunt rims are Clincher tube compatible. There you go, book closed on the subject. You can go out and buy any Clincher tubed tyre you want and fit it to your Hunt wheels. Meanwhile, you've got very well respected brands like Continental, and what they're saying on the subject is the only tyre they make that is hookless compatible is the GP5000S TR. So there you go. It's as clear as mud. One of them saying you can use any tyre, and then one of the tyre manufacturers saying they only make one tyre that will work. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not anti-hookless or anti-tubeless. I think both technologies, when used correctly, are fantastic, but they are not being used correctly. People are fitting the wrong type of tyres to those wheels, and it's dangerous. So let me explain to you what you need to know, and let's first of all start with tyres. Now there are a few key differences between a tubed and a tubeless tyre, but the one point that I want to discuss with you right now is what's known as the bead core. This is the ring that runs all the way around the edge of the tyre and is used to keep the tyre on the rim. Now modern day tyres like this one, the rim core is flexible like so. This makes it easier to package and dispatch and work with, and it's also a lot lighter than the ones we used to use, which had steel wire running round. We used to call them rigid. So the non-tubeless Clincher tyre has both the bead hook on the edge of the rim and the inner tube pushing everything outwards. And these two things hold everything in place tightly on the edge of the rim. And because of this, the tyre manufacturers can produce a tyre with a slightly more relaxed bead core. And that is why you tend to find people saying that the old traditional tubed Clincher tyres are so much easier to get onto rims when compared to modern tubeless tyres. In the case of the tubeless tyre, because there's no inner tube to aid inflation and keep the tyre pressed up against the rim wall, the tyre manufacturer needs to make the tyre with a ridiculously tight, close fit to the rim. And they achieve this by producing a tyre with a ridiculously over-engineered bead core that complies to ETRTO standards and has absolutely no give in it at all. But it's because of that that the tubeless tyre is such a nightmare to fit. Okay, so now let's discuss rim types. And first of all, our old friend, the hooked rim. It's been around for years and we all know exactly what it is and we're very familiar with it. It has a little hooked edge there and the bead of the tyre sits in there, and then when you inflate the tyre it all gets hooked in and holds in place. Absolutely lovely. as I said, it's been around years and we all understand exactly how it works, so we'll park that one there. Okay, so now let's discuss Hookless. Now, because the tubeless tyre fits so ridiculously tight to the wheel, some wheel manufacturers came to the conclusion that the hook on the rim was now surplus to requirements, and they removed it. Now, their justification for doing that was it made the wheel lighter and increased performance. But it's also worth noting that it made them easier to make and cheaper to make. Peak Talk did a really good video on this particular subject a few months ago. I'll link it below. Okay, so what's the problem, I hear you ask? Well, let me clear a bit of space and shuffle things around a bit, and I'll show you. Okay, so practical demonstration time. This is a hookless carbon rim with a standard Clincher tyre and an inner tube. So let's first of all inflate it to see how it takes that. So, it would seem like it's fitted perfectly, but now what we'll do is we'll let the air out of it, because that will give us a true indication of how well this tyre has been seated. Okay, so I've come around to this side of the counter, and here is that tyre, and I've let the air out of it. And as soon as I let the air out of it, immediately the tyre became baggy on the rim. Now, anyone that's had any experience with either a tubeless setup or a bead will know that that tyre shouldn't have instantly been floppy like that. And the reason it's floppy like that is because it's got nothing to hang on to, it's got nothing to hold on to it. And that is why, just after giving it a little bit of a wobble, it's become ridiculously baggy at the top. And how baggy is it? Let's see how hard it's going to be for me to get that tyre off of that rim. Not hard at all. And therein lies the problem. So there you go, the Clincher, by design, is designed to get on and off the rim. Watch, off the rim, on the rim, back off the rim again. It's designed to come on and off the rim with ease. Because by design, the Clincher can do that because it's got a bead to hook onto. But the hookless rim, by design, has got no way of retaining that tyre and stopping it coming off of the rim. So that is why it peels off as easily as it does. It's an accident waiting to happen. Okay, so what is my advice? Traditional, non-tubeless Clincher tyres like this are perfectly safe to run on a hooked rim, but they are not safe to use on a hookless rim. If you are running hookless rims, then as much as it may begrudge you, you must run a tubeless tyre. Thanks for watching.